get started. So, thank you for coming. I know some of you drove quite a ways, so thank you so much for coming. So I'm going to talk for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer this time, because the centers are my favorite thing. So I may get really excited. So if I start to get like really long-winded, someone tell me to shut up. After I'm finished, my classroom is just down the hallway. So anybody who wants to come down and see my classroom will walk down right after I'm finished. There are snacks and drinks and everything, so help yourself. So let's get started. But I do have to tell you a story. I told this story last week, and even some teachers here in the district hadn't heard this rule. So this is supposed to be about centers. Well, apparently there's this new rule here in our district in Metro that we're not allowed to call them centers. We have to call them workstations because the older kids think that centers are babyish and play. So clearly somebody in our central office had way too much time on their hands to make up this little rule.
I think there's more than one person.
Well, a lot more. Oh, yes. And so every person in our entire district, and then everybody was replying all, saying, right, like don't, right, like reply all, like all day our email was like ding, 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 and it was people saying, please remove me from this list. Well, stop replying to the email. All day. All day. So, it was crazy. I finally had to turn my computer off. I'm like, I can't handle the dinging anymore. So we're in this meeting, and they tell us this rule that we can't call them centers, we have to call them workstations. And I'm the kind of person that I'm not a big rule follower, and I don't like stuff like this. I don't like to be micromanaged and stuff that's pointless. And so just me being me, I said, really? I'm going to call them hippopotamuses. Just because. Just to be spiteful and just to point out the ridiculousness of this rule. So I went back to my classroom and I told the kids this story. So now when you come into our classroom, the kids will tell you we're not doing centers, we're doing hippopotamuses. So I'm going to talk to you for an hour about hippopotamuses. So those of you who don't know me, I am Greg Smedley-Warren. My blog is the Kindergarten Smorgasbord. I've been teaching for 9 years. 6 years in kindergarten, and I did not come willingly to kindergarten. When they told me I had to come to kindergarten, I did what all grown men do and called my mom and cried. But now, of course, I love kindergarten and would never do anything else. I am on social media, so feel free to tweet me, tag me on Instagram. All right, so why workstations? To apply and practice what we've done, what we've been learning. Makes differentiation easier, gives us freedom to do our small groups, our guided reading, to work one-on-one. They're very motivating for the kids. I know in my classroom they are so excited when it's time to go to hippopotamuses. And there's a lot of research behind why we do centers and workstations, and it says that children are motivated to read and spend more time reading. So we really want that motivation there. We want them excited for reading. So what makes these workstations effective? They need to be organized, and that allows students to work successfully and independently. You need areas to store incomplete work. Materials need to be clearly labeled. And for me, I use a lot of pocket charts, and that's one way to keep the centers organized and keep the kids, their work in centers organized. They need to be engaging. You don't want your kids getting bored because then you start to see the behavior issues. Allow for a lot of choice. Make them fun. Really fun? Like, come on, you can make them fun. Again, you want them to be able to do it independently so that you have the freedom to be doing what you need to do, and they need to be fun. Fun, fun, fun. You need to have a consistent structure in your workstations. And in a few minutes I'm going to kind of show you what our structure is like and talk to you about why it works so well. The structure stays the same. The activities and the skills may change, but the structure and how it works stays exactly the same. One way that I am able to give that change but keep the structure the same is just by simply when I make something, I change out the clip art or the graphics. So we might be adding again, but instead of pumpkins, we might have turkeys. And research tells us that the brain loves novelty. So even just changing out a little piece of clip art, that's new and exciting for our kids. And so that's just a simple way to keep them engaged. And then the students are better able to focus on the learning and not necessarily the materials. Of course, they need to be aligned to the curriculum and the standards. So, we're Common Core. And here in Metro, we have pacing guides that kind of guide our learning and our teaching for the 9 weeks. So we want to make sure that we're following all of the standards and the pacing guides. All right. So center management. The big key in our classroom that allows for the success of our center time is choice. We have a lot of choice built into our centers, and that keeps the kids engaged and gives them the freedom and makes them feel empowered, which cuts down on some of our behavior. We're accountable for what we're doing in centers, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how I handle that. Again, engaging. I don't want them to be bored. There's lots of repetition built in, and that comes through that consistent structure. So once they kind of do one activity during our center time, the rest of the year, those activities are the same, so they're able to do them without my help. And again, they need to be fun. So this is how I store my centers. I get asked this question a lot. So I store them in these Rubbermaid containers. They're stacked up on my cabinets. And I keep mine organized by skill. I know a lot of people do month and themes, but I do mine by skill. So this might be subtraction. I can tell that one is CBC words, sight words. I keep them by skill so that if I need a center for addition, I can just go grab the addition tub and pull something out. For me, it didn't work having them by month because I felt like I was digging through boxes looking for certain skills all the time. So I just keep them organized by skills. And then they're just stacked up all over my classroom. So these are the 5 centers that we have in our classroom. It's kind of a daily 5. But it's been modified to meet our needs. So we have listening, computer and technology. We have the classroom library, which is read to self, write the room, and then we have our tubs. And I'll explain the tubs in more detail in just a second. So how do we do our workstations? Well, first of all, we have a ticket to centers. So we have something that we usually have to do before we can go to centers. And in our classroom, that's our word study. It's developmental spelling analysis and word study. So they have to do their word study before they can go to centers. So once they're done with that word study, off they go. They don't need me. They're very independent. The way our structure is set up, they finish their word study and they know exactly where to go and what to do. And I'll show you a little bit of that. So we have our ticket to centers. You do your ticket to centers and off you go. So the way that our centers work, I've made it student friendly. I've made it teacher friendly, which we all know is really important. Less work for me, less work for us is key. Lots of choice built in, and again, that independence. You keep hearing me talk about the choice and the independence. That's huge in our classroom. And that's a major part of why centers are so effective in our classroom. So here's the trick to making centers work in my classroom. We use a wheel. It's visual. It's color-coded. So all of the centers in our room are color-coded. So the way that this works is if you're in the pink group, you would come back to the wheel when you've done your ticket to centers, so it's time to head off to your center. Well, Mr. Brad, what center do I go to? Well, I'm not the center wheel, so please don't ask me, because I don't know. I'm like, I know my kids have recently started saying that I'm getting fat, so I'm like, I know, but I'm not a wheel. So if you're in the pink group, you would automatically know that you go to technology or to your tubs. They didn't need me. And yes, I'm in So they didn't need me. I didn't have to give them any direction on what to do. The purple group knows that they would be reading in the library or writing the room. The green group knows that they would be in listening or in their tubs. And then this group, the blue group, would know that they go to their tubs. And a lot of the kids go to their tubs at the same time, and you'll see why in just a second. And then I don't move the wheel. We do a day. So this was the wheel this morning. Tomorrow, I'll just move it, and the purple group will be here. We don't stop and clean up and transition during centers. We have usually about 45 minutes to an hour for center time in our classroom, and they stay in their same 2 centers. So they might be in technology. If they get bored with technology or if they finish, they can go to their tubs. So they can go back and forth the whole time. Within these 2 centers, there are a whole lot of choices. So they're back and forth, or they can stay in one, it doesn't matter. But we don't clean up and transition. So we're not losing any instructional time trying to clean up and move to new centers. So I'll come in the morning and I'll move the wheel. If I forget to move the wheel, they kindly tell me, kindly, and then I can just say to one of my kids, hey, go move the purple group down, and they can do it. Are there any? I get a lot of questions about this. Any questions so far?
When you say their tubs, are they assigned by groups to certain tubs that
Yes.
they're supposed to go to?
Yeah, they're all color-coded. So the pink group would go to pink tubs. And I'll show you that in a second.
It is level groups.
Yes. So here's what it looks like in the classroom. Like I said, it's color-coded. It's easy to manage. So they have their names written. So the pink group is on pink paper. So they know they're in pink. They don't need me. These are only for centers. These are not my guided reading groups. So I have a different set of groups for guided reading. These are all skill-based. So I know that these guys down here might still be working on letters and sounds. So they're in that group. Again, it's very visual. They know the colors. They can read their names. They don't need me. I don't have to give any direction. They're able to do it completely on their own. So it's very student-friendly. So 4 groups, skill-based. They're very fluid groups, so they change a lot. If we start to work on some new skills and I see that somebody's getting something and somebody else is struggling, I'll switch their groups so that when they're in centers, they're getting practice with those skills. And there are exceptions. Yes?
I have a question. I mean, I would love to have 11 kids in my room, but is that like, I mean, do you add a color if you have too many, or?
I think, yeah, I think if you had more, I think you could just add another color or 2 colors. Yeah. So that your groups aren't gigantic. Yeah. And actually I have 13 this year.
I won't say what I should say. I will hold my tongue.
I had 14 at one point. I know, right?
I had 24.
We were talking, I was talking to Carrie earlier, and like, there's some downfalls to having a small class. Like, it's great, but I mean, like, 2 kids are out, 3 kids are out, and you're like, what am I doing? Like, do I go on? Right, and there are days when, like, I had 3 or 4 out the other day, and like, all day long, I was like, where is everybody? Like, did I lose somebody? But it's great having a very small class. But yes, this system works even for large groups. Just, I think, more colors so that your groups aren't gigantic. And then there are always exceptions. So this year in my class, I have a little guy who was out of school for like 4 months. So he is really far behind the table with some of the other centers. So he's not, he's not excluded. And he knows that at center time, he can go to either the iPads or he can go to his basket. And so he still has some choice built in. But he's an exception, and so he needs his own work, and so that's just another way to differentiate it. So unfinished work, we have baskets. So we have a math basket and a literacy basket, and you can clearly see that somebody didn't follow directions because those are both math. But one of them should be literacy and reading, and one is math. And so before they finish their ticket to centers, and they have to check this first before they can even look at the wheel. So they have to do the unfinished work before they can move on. So take it to centers, check the basket, and then they go off to the center wheel. And this is part of that accountability. It keeps them accountable. And I can go over and kind of go through that quickly to see who finished, who didn't finish, see what's going on. I also do not check their center work. I don't collect it, I don't grade it, I don't check it. We have kind of an honor system. It's kind of an expectation that they know that they better be doing what they're supposed to, or I'm not going to be happy. And also they're really good about wanting me to see what they're doing. So it's usually like a drive-by checking. So like they'll finish their work and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Craig, look." And I'm like, "Yeah, great job." And I can usually tell at a quick glance, like, you probably need to go back and redo that. And then you have the ones who you probably need to be on top of. So I don't check their work. They don't turn it in. It's not graded. I want to show you a couple of videos. So this is what it looks like when they go off to centers. So he has some work to finish, so he's going to go find that center and get back to work. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like from the student's perspective. I recently bought a GoPro camera, so I've been strapping on the kids. I've learned a lot. I think every classroom should have a GoPro, and we should all have to watch what goes on. Like, seriously, it's been eye-opening for me. So this is what it looks like when they go to centers from their perspective.
Video of each part of the day on the day. So we're going to finish it. I already know how to do it.
So she didn't have anything in the basket, so she's going to go look at the wheel. She didn't even have to walk over there before she knew where to go.
Please don't.
So the wheel told her that she needed to go to her tubs, so she went. She's in the green group, so she grabbed her green tub and off she goes.
Did you say technology?
So on my YouTube channel, I posted this full video. If you watch it, it shows her working at the center for about 25 minutes. And it was really interesting to watch and listen to her as she talked to herself and talked through each of the cards that she was working on. Like, I sat and watched it, and like it almost got me to crying because I'm like, they're really doing what they're supposed to be doing. And to hear her sit there and talk through a lot of that, like, those are things we don't get to hear a lot. And it was really powerful for me to sit here and watch her.
Will they ever work on a tub with another peer?
They can. Usually they're just kind of one-on-one, but if they want to work with a friend, they can. Like, I don't make a big deal about it. If you can, you can't. It's up to you. So these are our tubs. So I get asked about this piece of furniture a lot. This was in my classroom when I moved here 2 years ago. I know in our district they used to have them in the warehouse, but all of a sudden they got really popular, and now they're all gone. And so, like, these are little plastic totes and tubs. So I just color coded them with duct tape. So this is the pink group, and every one of these tubs is a different activity. And they can do any of them that they want. There's no rhyme or reason to which one they have to do when. They can pick any of them. And if they wanted to pick the same one every day, that's fine with me too.
How often do you change this out?
I change them out once a month. I would just gut everything and start over. But usually every couple of weeks what I'll do is I'll take some of the pink activities, which is my highest group, and I'll shift those down. And then so it's just kind of a slow, steady progression. And then, like I said, every month I'll start it all over. And then, of course, if it's a holiday or a theme, I'll pull those out as needed. But shifting them down, make sure everybody gets to do it, so there's some fairness built in. And then, if they don't know how to do it or if they need help with something, they don't have to ask me. They can go to somebody in the pink group and say, hey, how do I do this center? Can you show me this? So there's that, again, that's not requiring me to do a lot of work, but they're able to help each other. Before I moved here, I just had some of these bigger Rubbermaid containers and had them labeled with pink Post-it notes or purple Post-it notes. And then there were a bunch of different centers in the tub. So it was just the same system, but I had different storage options.
Sorry, when they grab a tub, do they know where to go?
They can go anywhere.
Oh, they can go anywhere?
Yeah.
You already said that one.
Yeah, we don't have tables or desks in our classroom, so they can sit anywhere they want. And if I ever leave, you didn't hear that.
I didn't see or hear.
Okay.
And that's math and reading?
This is reading.
It's just reading?
Yeah, and I'll show you what the math one looks like.
Okay.
The math centers are the same system.
Okay.
Yeah. The tubs look a little different, and I'll show you that.
Okay.
So there's one activity per tub. So the pink group will have 9 choices. So there's that choice piece again. So they could finish this one and go to this one. They could finish this one and go back to this one. It's whatever they want. There's that choice. All of my center activities come with a recording sheet. So again, there's some accountability. And the activities in those groups are differentiated to meet the needs of that group. So like right now, this group is doing a lot of sentence work. These guys down here are still doing sounds and some CVC words. And then we've got in the middle. And none of the activities are the same. And it makes, like if I have a sub, this is easy, because I can just leave on my sub plans that they can go to their tubs. And it's manageable enough to where a sub can handle it. So when I'm out, they finish their work, they can go pull something from their tubs and work. So within the tubs, that's where we have our word work, letters, and word work, letters and sounds, the sight words, sentences. We have some writing pieces in there, CVC words, the vowels. That's where they're getting a lot of that skill practice, are those tubs. Which is why you saw so many of the groups going to their tubs when we looked at the wheel. All right. So I'm going to quickly kind of go through some ideas and show you some of the things that are in the tubs. I tried to put in as much stuff that you can do on your own, that you can make or grab for free. So we do a lot of puzzles, so letters and sounds, puzzles, clothespins. We do a lot of spinning and coloring. These are letter discovery bottles, so they're just colored rice, and I threw some letter beads in there, and then they find a letter and they have to color the letter on their paper. Great beginning of the year center activity. Here's another beginning of the year letter recognition. Cookie sheet at the Dollar Tree, $1. Wrote on it with a Sharpie, and they can match the letters. More of just matching letters. Print it off a letter chart, put it on a pizza pan, and put some Mod Podge over the top of it, and they're just matching the magnetic letters. So sounds, so they say the picture, color the sound, matching the pictures to the sounds. So you can see that they're using the pocket chart. This one was a favorite. This is called Smashing Pumpkins. And so they had to match the hammer with the sound to the pumpkin with the picture, and then they would yell, smash! So that one was popular. It stayed out like all of October and November, and then in December they were like, where did the pumpkins go? So they loved that one. So letter puzzles. Again, the clothespins, clipping the sounds. We have these stamps that I think they came from Lakeshore. their beginning, middle, and ending sounds. So they stamp and then they have to write the missing sound. And that's another favorite. That's a very popular one. And this one's easy to differentiate because the stamps are different colors. So like if I need somebody to work on beginning sounds, I can say only do the blue. If it's ending sounds, I can say only do the green. And now they're all mixed up, and so they're just working on whatever the missing sound is. So I'm pretty sure they came from Lakeshore. So here's some ideas for CBC words. Again, a lot of puzzles. We also do a lot of word building, so they have to say the picture and then use their sounds to build the word. Then of course they have their recording sheet, so they have to write the word. So they're reading it, they're using their sounds, and they're writing.
Do you have a million copies?
Yes. Yeah, when she asks, what do I do with the recording sheets? When they're finished, they take them home. So building CBC words with Scrabble tiles. That's another favorite. And this one even works for kids who are really struggling with the CBC words and the blending because it has the picture. So they're able to put the letters together and know that it says Fox. So I use this one a lot in small groups also. So building the CBC words, so they're putting the picture together. Writing the CBC words. Spinning color, again, write the room. So again, a lot of the same skills just presented in your building. So they have to get all the ladybugs and put it in order to make the sentence, and then they write. Same concept, but it's presidents. So again, they know how to do the skill, they know how to do that center, but it's just a different picture. And they're amazed. This is a favorite, our paint stick sentences. So I went to Walmart and borrowed some paint sticks. The trick is that you go to Walmart and you walk up to the register with an armful of them and you're like, how much? And they're like, they don't want to figure out how much those are. So all I did was write sight word based sentences on the paint sticks. And then I have these random little picture cards. And so they pick a stick and then they pick a picture. So I like to eat giraffes. I will go to the box. I see the sun. So they usually end up being really funny sentences, so they're giggly and laughing, but they're having fun, they're engaged, and they're building their sentence skills and sight words. And it was free. Just go borrow the paint sticks. Borrow them. So vowels, again, a lot of sorting. Again, just the same activity, a little bit of change with the clip art, and it's new and fascinating and they're amazed. We made Easter eggs with our long vowel words, putting the long vowel flowers in the flower pot. And you know, if you really trusted your kids, you could buy real flower pots. If you really trusted them. Some ideas for word words, rhyming words. We've been doing a lot of nouns and verbs. And even though we didn't have the Olympics this year, I still pulled out these centers back in February, and they loved them. Compound words. Again, saying the words, matching the pictures. Sight words. Again with the Easter eggs. So these are in our sensory bin right now. So they just have to match the top and the bottom with the sight word. And to differentiate it, the recording sheet is different. So this little guy is matching the words, and then his recording sheet, he's coloring the egg with that sight word. To make it a little more challenging for somebody else, they have a recording sheet where they have to write the word. So just by changing the recording sheet, I've made it a little more challenging, and I'm able to meet the needs of all of the learners. Rainbow sight words. So I just have some sight word cards that I've had for years. Throw in some smelly markers, and instant success. Anything with a smelly marker, they're going to do it for, they would do it all day if I would let them. So they just read the word, and then they're writing with their smelly markers. This is another good one. So it's some carrots, and I put the letter tiles for the sight words. And what I did was I looked at some of our data and found the words that we had missed the most. And so they're getting practice with those words. So they have to build the sight word and then they write the sight word. And so this was definitely for some of my higher kids because it's a little more challenging. And this is one that I'll see them kind of congregate. So I'll have 2 or 3 kids working on it at the same time. This is another one of my newest obsessions, are test tubes. I saw this on Pinterest, and so I thought, I'm going to try this. So I ordered some test tubes and some little square letter beads from Amazon. So I put a little water in the tube and a little glitter, and then glued the lid on. Because you know what's going to happen. Dog pound would be like, oh look, and there goes our center. And then, so the tiles are in the bottom. And what I did was I put them, they don't move positions. So they don't get out of order, but they do spin around. So there's a little bit of a challenge there. And so they just have to, they read the word and then write the word. And this has been huge in our classroom. They love the test tubes. Like I've had to make this recording sheet, I think I've probably made 50 or 60 copies of it. Because they're just going through them because they love it. That's what you want. You want them to be excited, you want them to be engaged and have fun. So write the room. It's great, it's for themes and units, it's very thematic, and it's a great way to pull in some vocabulary. So they're learning the words and they're working on their handwriting, which this person needs to be working on a lot more. But clearly this was the beginning of the year. So we have them for all the holidays, all of our themes and units. We're constantly changing these out. And Carrie asked me today, she said, if you come to my room, you'll see that our walls are covered with Write the Room. She said, did you change all of these? No. I have 2 little girls who have been very well trained. And so when it's time to switch out Write the Room or Math the Room, they pull them all down, pull all the tape off, and I'll give them the next set, and they put the tape on and put them back up. So I don't have to do it. So we even have our sight words for Write the Room. So at the beginning of the year, we even had letters for Write the Room. So and I left these up for quite a while for some of my kids who needed a little extra practice with their letters. And of course, if you want them to write the room, you need lots of fun glasses. So these are Mardi Gras glasses, and you know they have margarita glasses, margarita-shaped sunglasses. But I didn't think those would be okay. And I might have bought a pair for myself, but I didn't bring it to school. And we also have, like, for Christmas, they had Santa hats that they wore for Write the Room. Right now, we have bunny ears for Easter. So just, again, giving them a little bit of fun. And they, you know, when they put those on, they think, woo, look at me. And every time they put them on, they want to come show me. I'm like, I've seen you wear those 6 times. It's okay. But you're beautiful, and now go Write the Room. So then we have technology. In our classroom, we have computers, we have iPads, we have boogie boards, which I can show you if you come to my room. But a boogie board is not what you use in the ocean. It's funny because I'll talk about boogie boards and people are like, aren't those what you surf on? It's they're about this big. It looks like an iPad, but they're an LCD screen. You can write on them with your finger. You push a button and it goes away. So we use those for Write the Room a lot. We have iPods and we have our Promethean board. So when they go to the technology centers, these are their choices. So we use our iPods for QR codes. So they scan the code and code the picture. A lot of apps on the iPad. Here are some of my favorites. Montessori Words. I think it's $2.99, but it's great for sounds and blending those CBC words. And what I like about this one is when after they build the word, it gives them like 10 seconds, 15 seconds where they get to draw. And then after they draw for a couple of seconds, it moves on to the next word. So they have a little bit of an incentive. Letter School is great for handwriting. Again, I think it's like maybe $1.99, but it's tiered. So on the first one, it shows them how to draw the letter. On the second one, it gives them lines and they trace the lines. On the third one, they have to do it by themselves. But if they struggle, like the little arrows will start to pop up. So they're able to be successful. And it has numbers, so it works for math. Here's another, this is a good one, this is a free one. It's called Hello Crayons. They also have Hello colored pencils, Hello markers, and Hello watercolors, I think. But they just pick a crayon and they can write. So we started using this for Write the Room. And so they'll go to the word wall and rainbow write with the iPad. And I've used it in small groups for writing addition and subtraction equations, writing CVC words. Grasshopper apps have some really good free apps. I use their sight word app, and I use their letter recognition app, and they have a good number recognition app that I use. Sight word touch is another good one. It'll say the word and they have to touch the sight word. ABC photo touch is another one. It'll say the sound and they have to find the picture for that beginning sound. So these are what the little boogie boards look like. So after they write the word, they can push this little button right here and the screen goes blank and they can start over.
How much do those usually run?
They run anywhere, I've seen them from $10 to $25. Depends on where you get them. A couple of months ago, somebody messaged me and they found them on clearance at Joann for like $7. You can get them on Amazon. Costco has them a lot of times. Michael's will have them randomly. And they don't have a battery, so they last forever. I've had mine for 3 years. The screens haven't worn out, they're not busted, and they still work great. So he just has some sight word cards and he's writing the sight words. So we have a Promethean board, so we use that to write CVC words. And then we are big fans of QR codes. So you scan this code with a phone, an iPod, or an iPad, and that code is actually linked to a document. So it will pull up the document. So like on this one, it's the letter Z, and so he's looking for a picture that starts with Z. What I love about QR codes is that they're very easily differentiated. So when I create QR codes for my class, I'll create 3 different recording sheets. So on this one, with the letter Z, we have a recording sheet for sounds. I have a recording sheet where they just have to find the letter Z, and then I have a recording sheet where they have to write the letter Z. So one center, but I'm able to meet the needs of 3 different learners, and it's 3 different levels. But my kids are obsessed with QR codes.
So new technology, they're separate baskets, or those in the tubs?
Those are separate. The tubs are just the tubs. Like the iPads are sitting on a table and they know if they're in technology, they can just grab an iPad.
And then where do they get the cards?
The QR codes are in a little basket sitting out and they know where those are. But yeah, so technology is just a center in itself, a choice. It's not, they're not included in the tubs or anything. So this is what our QR code centers look like. So you scan that card and this word would come up. And so they're going to read the word and she's looking for that picture on her paper. And I also have a recording sheet where she has to just, it would be a picture of the zipper and they have to write zip. So same skill, just differentiated, meeting the needs of all the learners. We do have a light box in the classroom. So this is what it looks like. I made it myself. Just a Rubbermaid container, some rope light, and a little bit of spray paint. So we've done letters. I showed you the CVC words where they melted them with the cups. We also use it for math. These are beginning sounds. So they've got a picture on one cup and then a letter on another cup, and they're putting them together to match the pictures and the sounds. And there's the CVC words. This is adding with the light cup, so they solve the equation and they have to find the cup with the answer. 10 frames. And recently I had an extra set of little Christmas lights, so I threw those in the light box. So now it has some color. We also have a sensory bin. And these are some of the things that I've used in my sensory bin. Flour is a lot of fun, but it's really messy. The oats were a lot of fun in the fall, but those were really messy. Rainbow rocks is what I'm going to be doing next, and it's just rock salt that I'll color with liquid watercolors. The caramel scented rice was my favorite because for 3 weeks the whole classroom smelled like caramel and chocolate. And that was a hard one. I was like, I know it smells good, but don't eat the rice. We did metallic beans, straws cut up into little pieces, floral moss. We did that with dinosaurs. The one thing that I have used that did not work well was shredded paper. You know, you can buy that crinkly shredded paper to go in like gift bags and baskets. Did not like it. Because when they would pull something out of the sensor bin, they would pull all the paper out. That was the one thing so far that doesn't work for me. So, beans and footballs. Here's the shredded paper. At Halloween, like I said, I didn't like it. And again, our sensor bin is differentiated. There are 2 different skills in here, and the recording sheets are color-coded. So if you're in the pink group, you would grab a pink recording sheet. There's that caramel scented rice. Metallic beans, I just got some metallic watercolors and colored the beans. Dinosaurs, that's the floral moss. That worked really well, the kids loved that. There's the Epsom salt for snow, and I threw in some blue in it, clear like gems and rocks, just to make it kind of a snowy effect. Then we have Read to Self. This is our classroom library. I bought a little plastic swimming pool at Walmart last year for $9. And so they sit in the pool and read. And this down here, this is our brain trust. This is my friend Dog Pound. Like I said, he's reading on a 4th grade level. And then this is Joseph and a Dearmont, and they're not very far behind. So these are our little geniuses. So they're either reading or plotting to take over the world. And if I had to guess, it's probably the second option. So that was literacy. Any questions? So math is set up the same way. We have our math baskets. We have Math the Room, which would be Write the Room, but for math. We have some technology. And then we have another center that's just 10 frames and graphic. So again, we have our math wheel. Same idea, but just for math. 4 groups, differentiated, color-coded. So consistent across the day. So these are our math baskets. So I didn't have tubs. I didn't have I really tried to find another set of those wonderful tubs. So me and my dad just built this out of PVC pipe and then bought the baskets at the Dollar Tree. So it's the same idea as the tubs, it's just these little baskets. So within those, they're differentiated. We'll have current skills, stuff that we're working on right now. For math, because I have fewer of them, I'll put 2 activities in each basket. So when they pull that basket, they have to do both activities. And then I keep a lot of review stuff in these too, so it's just kind of a spiral review all year long. So here's some of the things in our math baskets. A lot of working with numbers, number sense, place value, I Spy games, puzzles. Here's a fun, simple center paper plate with some dots. So it was Halloween, so we did pumpkins. So they had to put the stem on the pumpkin. And I even did this one for St. Patrick's Day, and so it was green plates, and it was a shamrock. Counting by tens. And again, you can see that there are recording sheets. So they have to do the center, and they have to be writing and recording their work. So there's that accountability. This is one of my favorites. So I took some paper plates, wrote the number, and drew the dots. And then I cut them all differently, so they only fit together with the right answer. So it goes all the way to 20. And I've had the same set of plates for about 5 years now. Amazingly, they've held up very well. It's super cheap or free. It works well, the kids love it. And it's one of those great game centers where they're working together in groups. And it can be easily differentiated. And that one would work even like letters and sounds, or just letters, or even matching the numbers. So that one has lots of possibilities. I had a lot of these shaped notepads that I wasn't using. I just stuck them on, wrote the number and the number word, and stuck them on a piece of paper and laminated them. And so they have to count the right number of objects. Again, it was super free, super cheap, And for me, it was free because I had all that stuff. Pool noodles are a great way to help the kids stay organized with their work. So I cut some pool noodles and put a slit in the top. And so they're able to stick the cards in there instead of spreading them out all over the classroom. Again, the pocket charts, even and odd, adding, and I love that she's drawing the dots. Putting the numbers in order. A lot of dice. We use a lot of dice games in our class. We do a lot of roll and color, and we'll use those all year long. Puzzles, number puzzles. This is another one where they do well when they work together, because there's so many pieces and they're trying to find all the pieces, so that's a great one for partners and groups. Again, with my Easter egg obsession. So what I did was I put the equation on the egg, and then on the little egg tray are the answers. So they have to solve the equation and put it in the egg tray. And I made those for adding and subtracting. More eggs. Told you I'm a little bit obsessed. So this one is making team numbers. So they have to find a 1 and then another number to make the team number. And then they color it. And again, there's a second recording sheet that they have to write the number. So I'm able to easily differentiate it. And more test tubes. This one was, sorry, go back. This one was math. So I just put 2 numbers in the test tube. And what they have to do is they have to write the addition and subtraction equation. So that one is a little bit more challenging, so that's for my higher group. But they're loving that one. Rainbow writing. So just threw out some subtraction cards, gave them a recording sheet and some smelling markers, and they think it's the best center ever. And then they come up to you and you're like, have you been sniffing markers? No. No, of course not. Here's another fun one. We did this one as a whole group, and then I put it in centers. So we called it bag and subtraction. So they picked the subtraction card, they had to solve it, and then they had to put it in the bag. And so that's in our centers, and they love that one. Bunny bowling is a great way to practice making 10. So they have to knock down the bunnies, and then they have to write how to make 10 by the number of bunnies that fell down and the bunnies that stayed standing up. So there's our light box. My friend Jenny back here made some awesome paint chip clip art. And so I just took that clip art and put some addition and subtraction equations. And now they're using that at the light box with these little plastic counters that we have. This is a favorite, dive in and subtract. So we take our little swimming pool, and I found a bag full of those little plastic balls that go in the ball pits. I found those at a yard sale for like $2. And so I wrote subtraction on there, and we dumped them in the pool, and they dive in and grab one and write the equation. We have animal cracker subtraction and addition. So we use our animal crackers. And then we have another one of the choices during math is 10 frames and graphing. So I have these little differentiation cubes. You can get them on Amazon. They're like $20 for a set of 3. If you don't have some, I highly recommend that you get some. We love them. I just make little cards and stick in there, so I'm able to change out the cards and the graphing activities pretty easily. Then we have our C count graph, so they're counting the pictures and graphing and analyzing the data. We have them for all the themes and units and holidays. Our 10 frames, so I have 10 frame cards. We use those all year long to really make sure that we're practicing that 1-to-1, counting to 20. Dry erase markers, we use our counters. Those are the golden girls for the 100th day. Here's another way to do 10 frames. I found these eyeball erasers at Target, and then the Dollar Tree had these ice trays. So they pick a number and they have to build a 10 frame. And then there's a recording sheet where they have to write the number and make their 10 frames. Another cookie sheet, so I just taped it off with some tape, give them some number cards, and what I did was I took some of those like little clear gems, like these are red, and I glued a little magnet on the back. And so then they can build their tin frame. So then we have Math the Room as another one of our options. And within Math the Room, that will either be Math the Room, so they're walking around doing addition and subtraction, or tin frames, or numbers and counting. And I also have some other, like, I put a lot of the dice games in that center. So roll and color will be in there, finding the number. I found these dice at a conference a while back, and so these have been good for my kids who are struggling with adding. Instead of the dots, it's the fingers. So again, I said Math the Room, they're adding and subtracting. So now we have the mushrooms and the gnomes for spring. We had the glitter peeps for Easter. So they just take their paper and walk around and write the equation and solve them. And then again, we use our boogie boards to write the room, so counting the room. And the counting the room is differentiated. So some of my kids might be counting to 15, some are going to 20, and then I make it to 25 to challenge those kids. So technology, this is a great app. It's called Math Kid. It's free. It will do adding and subtracting. And what I love is that it gives them the equation, then it gives them a couple of seconds, and if they can't solve it, it will show them the fingers. So they can do it independently, but if they need a little help, it gives them a little help. We do our Promethean board, so she's just grabbing some flashcards and solving on the Promethean board. This is another fantastic free app. It's called Counting Board. And so the way it works is that you touch one of the squares and it will show you the number. And you can even have it say the number if you want. And so what I did with mine is I just have a bunch of hundreds chart, and when they touch the number, they have to color it on their chart. And that's free. So it's been a huge center in our classroom. And on Amazon, you know, the little bingo stampers, they love using those, and I found glittery ones. And so they think
those
those
at Dollar Tree a lot of times. I don't know if it's seasonal or not, but they'll have them.
So if anybody, yes,
Do you do DSA all year?
All year.
Start back in August?
we start in September, October. Kind of depends on the kids. Like last year I got started a little bit earlier. This year I waited a little bit. But it depends on the group. But I try to be September, October at the latest. Somebody else, do you have a question?
You need to have this before Easter next year, because all those little eggs are gone now.
You know why? They're all at my house. Literally, I have 2 giant boxes full of them. Because I went to Walmart the Monday morning after Easter and bought all of
Look,
them.
he's gonna be on Craigslist, you
I
know.
am.
Easter
I will.
eggs.
Next year he'll be selling them on tables on the side.
Like
Right. Full price. Pre-made.
As well. So, is this something you add to from year to year?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
like to initiate all of this?
And like when I first started, a lot of it was stuff that I had off, like the little games from Lake Shore and puzzles and stuff. Now I've slowly started adding in all the stuff that I have. Yeah, so take what I already have and then slowly putting in other stuff. And once you kind of have that kind of a big abundance of stuff, it's a lot less work. You can just kind of shift it, and you don't have to change it every week. I have a laser printer. It's a LaserJet Pro 200. They run about $150 or so on Amazon. The ink is a little more expensive up front. Like to get all 4 colors in the cup and 4 things of toner, it's like $300. But it lasts a lot longer. So over the long run, it's a lot cheaper. But it lasts a lot longer. Yeah, like my ink expenses have gone way down. Up front, it's a little painful, but when you're not buying ink cartridges every week,
You were like, oh no.
save a lot of money.
How do you make your worksheet?
I do everything on PowerPoint.
Okay.
Well, now that I have a Mac, I do it on Keynote, but the same thing. So I do everything I create, it's all done in PowerPoint and Keynote. And on my YouTube channel, I have a little video that shows how I do it. Yeah, nothing fancy, just PowerPoint.
When you're introducing centers, you might have already gone over this it's late, but when you're introducing them, like you said, you change them out every month. Like, do you just sit them down, or do you get small groups?
A couple of ways. I do a small group a lot of times. Some of them, like you saw, that bag and subtraction is a whole group activity. So some whole group activities go into centers in small groups, but since I create most of my own centers, they're created like the what does the fox say? Like I have a what does the fox say for the whole year. So in the beginning of the year, I teach them how to do those activities, and I don't have to teach it again. Because instead of letters and sounds, it might be CBC words, but they're still doing the same thing. So when I'm creating, that's how I'm always thinking about that, like making it stuff that they know how to already do. But if it's something like the test periods, those were new, so it's just small group. Yeah. And then that small group can go off and teach the rest of the kids. So if anybody wants to come down and see my classroom, you're welcome. Just walk down there.